Alright guys, Troy Francis here. I want to talk today about girl game. Okay, so I've spent the last decade or so working as a dating coach, but primarily helping other dudes, okay? Because guys have a lot of difficulties out there in the dating arena, and well, you know, it's been very well documented, but it's pretty tough out there. Pretty tough out there for guys. We're seeing an increase in male virginity, the so-called inceldom, you know, guys who just aren't getting any action at all. That appears to be on the rise. So things are pretty tough out there for various reasons, but I want to focus today on girls and girl game, because to be completely honest, the girl game that I have seen out there is absolutely fucking horrendous, or it can be absolutely horrendous. And listen guys or girls, I don't know where you girls are getting this stuff from. Well, I do have some ideas actually. We're going to be ripping into some female dating coaches or dating coaches for women in subsequent videos, but that aside, I don't know where else you guys are getting this advice from, but some of the game that girls display out there, that women display out there, is absolutely appalling, and it's really, really counterproductive. The number one thing that you can do wrong, I believe, when you're trying to attract somebody, whether you're a man or a woman, okay, is to be too keen, is to be too needy, is to give too much of yourself too soon without it being reciprocated, if that kind of makes any sense. Hopefully we'll throw some more light on this in the video. Well, guys who learn dating skills, let's say guys who learn game, who learn about what used to be called rather cheesily pickup artistry, but now who learn about, you know, dating game, whatever. One of the first things that guys are told is to not put the woman on a pedestal, okay? Don't put the woman on a pedestal. Don't treat her as some kind of divine angel who's so significantly better than you. She's amazing. She's just this pure, beautiful kind of God-given creation. You don't want to do that, all right? And the reason you don't want to do that is, frankly, because there's a simping epidemic, and that's what every other dude on the planet does, okay? And if you are a hot girl and you're getting all this attention from guys, and, you know, you've got thousands of guys reaching out in the DMs and liking your pictures and all that kind of stuff, are you really going to be impressed by another guy who does 15 fire emojis under your picture from the, you know, the Champs-Elysees in Paris when you're wearing a cute miniskirt? No. Are you fuck? Why are you going to, you know, like, it doesn't work. It's not surprising. It's not sexy. It's just another beta orbiter who's there trying to get a piece of the action by blowing smoke up your ass, okay? So guys who learn, and it's not just online, it's in real life as well. I mean, you don't want to walk up to the woman and be like, oh my God, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, baby. I'd give anything if I could spend just 5 minutes with you having a coffee. I mean, you don't want to be that kind of simpy guy. You want to walk up with an assumption, with the mindset that actually, you know, you are bringing a lot of value to the table, probably more value than her, because you're a high value man, trademark. You know, you've worked on yourself, you've got money, muscles, game and frame, you're in good shape, you're well dressed, you're well groomed, and you've got stuff going on. And yes, she's cute, and yes, obviously you're a guy and you're attracted to her, whatever, but you're living in a big city. There are many attractive women here, and she's just one of them. So yeah, sure, you want to get to know her, but you know, it's no biggie. If she turns out to be a dud, she turns out to be boring or a little bit crazy or whatever, then you're going to move on. Okay, fine. So guys who take the trouble and the time to learn this stuff, this is drilled into them. Okay, it's drilled into them. You do not put her on a pedestal, and you do not chase. Okay, that's also important. All right, guys, you know, we will spend time looking at guys' text messages or their text replies and threads on WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever, and it's like the classic number one mistake that dudes will make is, you know, she's writing back like one line or one word answers, and he's writing back paragraphs. You know, he's like, so what did you do last night? She's like, I don't know, stayed in. And then he comes back with a whole paragraph. Oh my God, I can't believe a girl as wonderful as you would stay in. Surely, you know, if only I'd have known, I would have taken you out for a lovely dinner because you're so wonderful and amazing. And he's written a whole long paragraph. That is classic number one simp behavior, as is double texting. Okay, so he messages her. He's like, good morning, how are you? And she doesn't respond for 3 hours. And so then he texts back and says, hey, still waiting to hear. How's the beautiful girl today? You know, or some cringe nonsense like that. Okay, double texting again. You're too keen, you're chasing. All right, this is not a good thing to do. This is a bad thing to do. Whatever residual interest was there before, it's gonna be eradicated, because she's like, this dude he's a joke, right? He's got nothing else going on. He's valuing me as the hot girl. He's valuing me too highly. Often the hot girl, she may not have that great actually real confidence in herself anyway. She's like, well, this buffoon is just valuing me too highly. He's putting too high a price on me. That's kind of a turn off, because what I actually like, are guys that I have to chase a bit, these dudes that are a little bit like out of my reach. You know, this buffoon is, you know, he's desperate, right? That is unattractive. So we've talked a lot about guys and their game in relation to women, but what about the other way around? Well, most of the time, this stuff isn't a huge problem for women, because women in general, especially if they are attractive women, let's say, I want to say young and attractive, but you know, we can let that one go, whatever. As long as they are attractive women, for the most part, they are going to be the ones who are pursued by guys. And that is an advantage, because it means that if you're a woman, you can kind of sit back and you're the one who is evaluating it's a bit like being the interviewer in a job interview situation. You know, you're the one who's sitting back, relaxing, having a coffee, reviewing the applications, right? That's what the woman does, for the most part. Where this breaks down, though, and where this becomes problematic for women, is when women really like the guy that they're engaging with. Okay, when women really, really like the dude that they're engaging with, then, and I've seen this in my own personal life, I've seen this with my own eyes, then girl game can go completely out the fucking window, and they will break the rules in the most ridiculous manner possible that is just going to turn the guy off. Okay, so, and it's all the same kind of stuff, really. I mean, the problem, I believe, is that I think both men and women, we both have this desire for the things that we kind of can't quite get, frankly. You know, we don't really... I mean, look, I've got to qualify all this. I've got to caveat all this, because obviously there is also a simp epidemic going on, right? So there are also dudes who, quite frankly, if they got any female attention at all, they're going to be desperately happy about it and they're going to accept, you know, whatever. But if you're talking about guys of any real quality or any experience, I mean, generally speaking, if the woman is too all over them, it's kind of a turn off. You know, it's just kind of a bit of a turn-off. I mean, it's the same as with women and guys. You know, the guy kind of the girls that we really want are the bitchy girl in the club who's not really giving us the time of day. You know, it's like, oh my god, you know, she's so amazing. If only I could, you know, change her mind. If only I could, you know, talk her around, or you know, what amazing game could I use to convert her? You know, whereas the girl who's like super happy and like all over us and like a puppy dog every time we appear, unfortunately, and this is just human nature, that becomes less attractive, and if you keep doing it, it becomes even less attractive over time. Okay, so, and as I say, the problem here for women is not with 99% of guys that they interact with, because 99% of guys you interact with, well, certainly probably 80% of guys you interact with, you're not even attracted to anyway. You know, it's classic stat, you know, women are not attracted to 80% of dudes. They actually think they're unattractive, so you can take all of them out of the equation, and then you've got the remaining, you know, whatever percentage of dudes, and of those, probably some of them you're like, yeah, he's okay, whatever, but you know, maybe you've got other people in your DMs, you've got orbiters, whatever, so you're not super stuck on all of these guys. But sometimes a guy comes along and he's either of such high value, or he's just got something about him, and you women, you know, you girls, you just fall for this dude, and you're like, oh my god. And this is where it all starts to go wrong, because then you're you're not even double texting, you're like quadruple million texting, you know, sending masses of messages a day. Okay, you're sending voice notes, you're sending like, I don't know, any excuse basically to interact with the dude. You're picking up on that excuse, you're using that excuse, you're trying to talk to him all the time, you're trying to call him the whole time, and it can be nice at first, right? I mean, the guy can be like, oh, this is kind of cool, yeah, she's into me, whatever, but unfortunately, unless the guy is really smitten as well, okay, that does change things somewhat. Okay, that's changing things somewhat. But if this is in the early stages and the guy is kind of sleeping with you, or he can't really be kind of sleeping with you, the guy, you're having sex, right? But the dude is not fully convinced, right? He's not in love, he's not sold on you yet. This kind of behavior can just be an incredible turn off, I'm afraid, sad as it is to say. And he's kind of like, well, you know, I've got her on lockdown, whatever, she's super into me, but what about this girl over here? You know, what about this one who's not responding to my DMs, or she's taking ages to reply to my WhatsApp messages? Okay, what about her? And this one over here then seems to have more value because she is less easy to get. Okay, and again, you know, it's exactly the same thing that we teach guys, but women, when they're really into this dude, if you want to call it the alpha, you know, the top 20% man, whatever it is, women will just blatantly make these mistakes. And it's kind of amusing to me, because you would think, because women are so ruthless about picking up on this stuff when guys do it, you would think that they would be aware when they're doing it to men how off-putting it is, but it just seems like they're not, you know. Even if the relationship has progressed somewhat and you guys are kind of seeing each other, whatever, you know, maybe you're even living together, or you're, I don't know, sharing a place or whatever, or spending a lot of time staying at each other's places. I mean, and maybe this is a quirk that applies to me and less to other guys, I don't know, but I think women who are overly sort of assiduous, I guess is the word. You know, women who are overly kind of keen to just do everything for you the whole time. Again, for me, that can be a little bit of a turn off as well. You know, and maybe I'm crazy. I don't know, I probably am, but it can be too much. You know, yes, it's nice. It's great that you like me, but the fact that you are just trying to just do everything all the time, you know, making breakfast for me when I don't even want it, making meals for me that I don't even want, you know, and you're so super sensitive to me, and you're putting me on that pedestal. That then becomes a turn off for me, and I'm like, oh man, it's kind of too much. And again, you know, your mind starts to wander then to the girl who's maybe not as receptive as that, who's maybe a bit more bitchy, who's maybe a bit more standoffish, and she seems more attractive. And it's all nonsense in the end. It's all nonsense in the end because, you know, the original girl, the girlfriend, might be the more attractive one if you're looking at it objectively. But because she has given herself over in this sort of just over the top manner, that can become a problem. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn good skills in terms of looking after a guy, okay? So being able to cook, being able to look after the house, all of those things. Yes, of course, those are great things to have. And many men, probably most men, are actually looking for that if they're looking to get married and settle down. So undoubtedly, that's a great thing to do. However, and again, I reiterate, you don't want to give away that side of yourself too soon. You've got to space it out, okay? If you guys have been together for a period of time and he's clearly really into you and you're into him and you're at the right stage in the relationship, then all of that stuff is great. And that's probably what he's looking for. But if he's a high value guy and he's got options and he's not 100% on you and you do too much of this stuff, you think, oh, I'm being overly attentive, so that's going to just pull him into me further, and I'm going to make sure I keep hold of this guy. It could have the opposite effect. As I say, human nature is very perverse, unfortunately, in this sense, where we just like the things we can't really get, you know? And it's messed up and it's twisted, and I kind of wish it wasn't like that, but that's just how it is. So you have to be aware of this stuff. But I would say the cosseting stuff, the housework type stuff, that's one thing. And as I say, in the context of a marriage or the context of a, you know, fully developed relationship, that stuff is great, but you've just got to be a bit sparing. You've got to drip feed it out, I think is the point. And it's the same thing with your affection, you know, your responsiveness on texts, and you're bombarding him with messages the whole time. If you're too available and you're too there all the time, too early on, that can be a turn off, okay? And again, as I say, this is the stuff, if you're looking at it from the other way around, you're looking at what guys get taught as far as their dating experiences with women are concerned. Guys will always get told, you've got to tone it down. Don't be too needy. Don't be too available. Don't be like overly texting her. Don't be overly solicitous towards her. You've got to look as if you've got a life outside. You know, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, but fear of loss, I'm afraid, and again, it's perverse, but fear of loss is a very powerful thing for people, for men and women. You know, that fear that, oh, I've kind of got her, but I might lose her at any moment. That's a huge motivator, okay? So you've got to be a little bit smart about this stuff. It's not that you don't love him, it's not that you don't want to do things for him, that's fine. But if you show it too much too early on, you do risk pushing him away. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know that's kind of difficult to wrap your head around, but it is true. Particularly for, as I say, these kind of high value guys who maybe they've got options, they've got other girls who are vying for their attention, or maybe they're dealing with other women who are, you know, hot, but a bit more standoffish, then you're in the danger zone, okay? So that's where your game girl has to come in, all right? That's where you have to be a little bit sparing with the attention, just a little bit more mysterious, not kind of giving too much too soon, if that makes sense. Anyway, hope you found that helpful. Speak to you guys again very soon. It's Troy Francis.